Hi, this is Kylie Coo. Welcome to my studio. So I have a tendency on my work table just to add drop papers on top of each other. So, when it gets too messy, I'll just put another one on top. But they were starting to pile up, so I decided I would clear them off. And just as I was doing that, I decided I'll turn on the camera, because usually what I do, this is the sheet I'm going to be using. Usually what I do is I simply then fold it up and put it away to use at a future date for either collage or to make into a small artist book. And I thought, you know what, I've got a stack of these, so I am just going to get on and make a small artist book today. So this is what I would call flip chart paper. It comes from a big flip chart. I used to use them a lot in the past. It's, I think, similar to what you might call newsprint in the US. So there's another sheet underneath, just leaving that one on today, and then, or do I take it off just now and then I put another clean one down? I can't remember. But anyway, we're going to get on in just a second, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this big sheet of paper. Now this sheet is about A1 size. Because I had it tucked under at the edges, I had it tucked under my large A3 size craft mat. Some of the edges don't have any paint on it at all, and this sheet was so big I couldn't actually get it into the, fit the whole thing in the camera. But I'm just going to take those slightly lighter edges off. One, it'll make it a bit more manageable, but two, obviously since there's nothing on those, I just decided I'll put them to the side and I will do something with them later. So I'm just using my ruler to just tear off the sides. I could have cut them with scissors, but if you've been here before, you will know that I prefer kind of a natural, slightly rough edge to things. So I'm just going to make my way right round that, and you'll see there's lots of colour on this sheet. I often start by saying, well, I'm going to try and keep this tidy, make it last for longer, but it's just so easy when there's a bit of excess paint on my brush. Rather than just cleaning it off in the water, I like to just put it on the sheet, and that way it's not wasted. So I think, have I been right round? Now what I'm going to make is sometimes what's referred to as a zigzag book. There's different names for it. I've made these before, and I will link, because I probably give better instructions where you can see it better in other videos, so I'll link those videos. But basically I'm taking the two short ends and folding them together, so putting a nice crease along the middle. Now the paint's quite thick in places, so it's difficult to get a very neat crease, but I'm not worried about that. I'm then folding that bit back on itself, and then I'll go to the other side and I'll fold it into the middle. So basically I've taken it horizontally and have folded it in the middle, and then I've folded each side again, so it's into quarters or fourths, as you might refer to it. So I've got four that way. Now normally what I would do is I would do four the other way, so I'm taking the two longer sides and I am going to put them edge to edge, and you'll see the sides are a little rough and ready. I'm not concerned about that. This book will turn out how it turns out. And what I'm doing now is taking those two long sides. I suppose this would be at landscape way, the other way must have been kind of portrait, but two long sides together, and again I am folding those in half again, so again I'll have here another four sides, so it's into quarters again or fourths again. So basically each way I've folded it into quarter sections as neatly as possible. So when I was looking at this, just trying to straighten it up a little bit there, as I was looking at this I thought, this is actually going to give me quite big pages. It would give me almost square shaped pages, which is fine. I like to work with squares. No, in fact they wouldn't have been. They would have been big rectangles, but I decided I wanted to make something smaller. So this time I'm going long side to long side again, but folding each of those quarters into half again. So by doing it this way, I'm actually going to end up with 8 sections going across the way. So the short end, so one way it will be into quarters, the other way it will be into 8 sections. And you'll see it almost folds together in this way, like a kind of concertina accordion. So I'm just taking my time to work it out. It's actually hard to even work it out looking at it now because, as I say, because I can't get the full sheet. So yes, these are actually the shorter sides that I've taken and folding into 8 sections now. And I just take my time with this. There was no rush. Just trying to work it out. Looking at the painted side, it was sometimes kind of difficult to see exactly where the folds needed to go, and that was really why I was kind of taking my time. And the paper had also been wet a couple of times, so that meant that it was kind of wrinkled in places, which again just made the folds a little bit difficult. But you can see there, 8 one way and 4 the other. So now what I need to do is to cut into individual pages, and this is where almost the notion of the zigzag comes in. I could do this with scissors, but again I decided to take my ruler and do it that way. And I think all I'm doing here is just going over a couple of those, just to a couple of the creases, just to try and make sure that I have got, as far as possible, a good crease in them. But parts of that paper really was very textured. But what I like about this sort of project is it's using a drop sheet in a different way to collage, and it means all that glorious paint that's been dropped onto the sheet is not being wasted, and nor is the sheet of paper. I already have lots of collage pieces, and although I'm getting through them with various projects, but I have lots. I've got lots of these sheets folded up in places, so I thought, why not just get on and make it into a project today. There you can see the line was just running off ever so slightly, so I do try and fix it a little bit, but you know, really I don't worry about it too much. You can also see the wrinkles in the sheet there, but that's okay. So I think here, just kind of going over it the other way again, it just makes it easier when it comes to cut it or to tear it, as I do. Some of the pages are quite dark and grungy, and it's just quite interesting to see how they turn out when I fold it into a book. Now I did actually fold this in a slightly different way than I usually do. I'll explain that bit when I get to it, but that's why I'm going to copy or going to link some other videos where I've actually done this before, so you can see it more, the more usual way that I do it, which kind of has fewer pages, but this turned out to have some interesting results in terms of the way that the pages open. You can see from the paint on my hands that I'd obviously finished another project. I've still got paint or ink on them. I think since I made this, I've already got more drop sheets to use. Right, are we there yet? Yes. So you can see roughly there the size that the page is going to be, and I am quite happy with that. So I've now got to decide, am I going to cut along the 4 folds or the 8 folds, and depending on which way I do that, I will get a different result. So I've got to decide, you know, what shape I want my book to be in the end, and then that way I can then decide where I want to make. So I'm just going to show you, I'm going to cut down that line to, now we've got 4 going down that way, so I'm going to cut down to the 3rd point where the 2 creases meet. The next one I'm going to cut up the way, this one I'm going to cut down the way. I'm marking it just so you can see it, but it's also a handy reminder for myself. So just marking the X where the 2 fall at the 3rd crease down. And then now that I've got them marked, I'm going to tear them. So I took my camera out as far as possible there, and just showing you, I'm going to cut all the way down to there. So then I'll have 1 page remaining, then I'm going to go up the way to there, all the way down, and then up until I get to the end. So I brought out the scissors, but then changed my mind. I want to keep it rough and ready looking, very organic looking. So again, just getting that fold in, just so that I'm going to get a reasonably straight tear. It doesn't need to be neat, but I would like it to be reasonably straight, otherwise it won't fold together very well. Just lay my ruler on it. I've got to be slightly careful because this paper is very thin, really. I mean, it's thickened up because of the paint that's on it, but it's quite delicate, I suppose. So I'll take that down as near as possible to that cross. It doesn't matter if I go slightly past it, though I don't want to fall short. So there, I've got it to there. I'll flip it round this way, and then I'm going to go from the other side. Just find where the crease is. Just trying to make sure again that I've got a straightish line. Now my ruler's not, this ruler's not long enough to go all the way down, so I do have to move it a bit. And then I will tear down again to that little cross. A case of flipping round again, and this time coming from the top. Again, just trying to find the fold line, and then starting to tear down. And of course, because it's a big sheet of paper and I've got as many fold lines in it, it's actually, you know, it gets to the point where it's quite difficult to move. So just saying there that I'm now going to carry on and do the rest. And I think this is my last tear. By this point, every time I tried to move the page, it was flapping about everywhere, as you'll probably see in just a moment. Yeah, so you can see there the various pieces. So now it's time to fold it into the book. So normally the way I would start is I would fold that down that way, but that would mean I would need to create a cover. So this time I'm going to do it the opposite way because I want this to be the cover and the back page. So I'm basically just going up and down when I get to the end, folding it under. As I say, this will then give me a printed front page, so I don't need to create a cover or paint a separate cover on it. And I just keep folding, and you can actually have fun just trying to fold them in different ways, but I'm usually fairly consistent, folding it under there again at the end, then over and under, all the way till I get to the end. and I'm being fairly careful because I don't want to end up ripping one piece off at this stage. And you see, because of the way I've folded this time, both my front and my back are covered. So I will just try and neaten it up a little bit. I'm just going to look through this, and what I then do is I just take a glue stick. So what I don't want is for it all to be falling in pieces. Now, of course, you could actually decorate both sides, in which case, you know, it wouldn't matter to glue it, but I want to glue it because it will also help just strengthen the structure. I'm just using a glue stick to more or less get it into shape. So I'll fold those two over, and then all I'm looking for is where the next join is. So basically I'm looking for the blank sides. I'm really just going to be gluing the unpainted side to each other rather than the painted sides. Just give it a little press each time just to try and keep it in place. Looking here and thinking, where do I go next? And it's just a case of going slowly and finding all those blank spots, all those blank pages, and gluing them. So once it was all glued in place, I think I put it under something heavy just to allow the pages to stick that little bit better together. Although it looks like there's paint there, that's just stuff that's gone right through the page. And then what I did later on was to come in with the art glitter glue tube thing and just went right to the very edges. The edges were not entirely neat, but that kind of thing, you know, as I've said 100 times, that kind of thing doesn't bother me because I like things to look organic. So I think the time of this video is something like 20 minutes. So that's the length of time that it basically took me to create a little artist book like this. Now, I haven't done any more decorating in it. Sometimes I'll just leave these as is, and sometimes I will use them just for coming back in, maybe just mark making, etc. I've got some ideas for things to put in this little one. Nothing major, but I might just do a kind of follow-up video showing you what I do next. I started thinking that would be my front, but actually when I saw that bit of kind of asemic writing on the other side, I decided to make it my front page. So I think I'm just going to do a quick kind of flip through now. And just looking at how this all opens up. And what I like about it is sometimes you're getting 2 pages, sometimes you get 3 pages, and since I've been playing with it again since then and folding it in different ways, I'm actually now getting 4 pages. Don't know if that shows in this video or not, but I can show that next time when I come to actually decorate it. But it's a great way just to use up paper and just see what the results are from a drop sheet. So I'll link the other videos. I do hope you've enjoyed seeing this. I think that's me just coming from the other side now. It's one of these that you can just decide at the time how you want to, which side you want the front to be and which side you want the back to be. Yeah, I've definitely changed this a bit since then because I'm sure I've now got a point where I've got 4 pages. But when I do the follow-up, we can see that then. So, if you've made it this far, thank you ever so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you've enjoyed just seeing how to use a drop sheet and to make it into a little artist book. So do take care everyone, and I should be back on Sunday with another page in my weekly concertina accordion book. So I do look forward to seeing you again then. Take care. Bye for now.